This is an addendum to the last video just to show you what HAT looks like when you receive multiple files and send multiple files. So here we receive 2 files and we see 4 transmits. So each file got actually transmitted twice. Once to the all directory and then the other time either to the small or to the large directory. So how can we trace through that with just using HAT? So you pick one of the 2 messages you want to look at and you say message flow. And then you see here how it came in and then it parsed it. And when it parsed it, it assigned a different GUID, globally unique ID. And then you can see here that it got transmitted twice. So if you click the first transmit, it will take you to here. And it says this is the file where it went large. And then here was the file. That's the same place. That's the other large. And you can say file navigate back. You can now scroll down to the other transmit, and then you notice here that it says all. So that's one of the things you can do with HAT. Another thing you can do here is right click and say save all tracked messages. Now this, sometimes you'll get an error that says this doesn't work. Well, first of all, I don't need to show that every time. And there's 3 or 4 reasons it won't work. First, let's just try it and see if we get one of those errors or not. So what I usually do is I'll create a file on my disk, I guess here, called HAT messages, HAT saved messages. And then anytime I save a message from HAT, I'll put it in that directory. So we're in BizTalk demos, purchase order, HAT. And you can see here it saved 2 messages. First question is why 2? Well, when we go back to our ports in BizTalk admin, we look at our receive port. Let's look at our properties. We had a tracking and we selected all 4 of these. So we're going to have the message body and the message properties. So now let's go to that directory called HAT saved message. And you can see here it saved 2 messages because you have 2 XML files. And then the other file, I think actually the out file is the XML. The other one is called the context, which is the data about the data, which we also call the metadata. So if I hit my F3 button here to browse this, I guess it would be better to look at it in the browser because it'll format it better. So let's start by looking at the out one. Notice it has 2 GUIDs on it. Both have the 2 EC768F, etc., etc. Let's see if we can match that back here to HAT. So I think this is where we saved it. But if we go to message flow, and let me get back to that directory. So here is your message ID, 2EZ Charlie 768 Fox 0, etc. And so that's how you identify this message. The other one you notice is 869B. In this case they should be the same. Looks like there's a few bytes difference, but before and after parsing, what this would be useful for is if you received a flat file. This would be the flat file, this would be the XML version of that. Because when BizTalk receives flat files, you usually use a pipeline, and the pipeline will translate it to XML. So let's see what we have here. Let's start with this one. Also notice the second GUID. I'm not exactly sure where it's getting that B45. Now, see, it's an OUT file, so I have to say open, right-click open with, and then choose Internet Explorer. And for some reason I don't see my open with option here. So I'll click open instead. I'll click select from list. And then I'll just pick Internet Explorer from here. Scroll down. And if I always want to open OUT out files with Internet Explorer, I'd leave this box checked. Otherwise, I won't leave it checked. Oops. Sorry, I had the OK button was off of the video, so I didn't see it. So I hit browse instead of open, instead of OK. Okay, now it's not wanting to actually open this file, it's trying to save it. So it must not be pure XML here. Well, it is XML. It should have opened in the browser. I'm not sure why it didn't. Anyway, now we have the context one, and that's that's XML. So here we have all the context about the message. If you scroll down, you see there's quite a few fields here. Let's find something like here. The fact that we promoted the purchase order amount means that that became a promoted field or a context field, and that message, this is where it was promoted to. It was promoted from the XML file to the context file, and this is what allows you to filter based on these types of fields. You'll also see in here, I believe somewhere, the original file name, which is right here, property name, inbound transport location, and there's the name of the disk where it found it. Here's the interchange ID, which is 8EZ3, which I'm still looking for this B45 here. Let's find B45. Okay, there's the message part ID. It's possible for a message to have more than one part. This one only had one part, and that's the message ID. For some odd reason, I'm having trouble opening this one in the browser. So actually the easiest thing to do is just rename it to .xml and then double click on it. It kept trying to act like it was downloading it.